Welcome to Crowd Management Training provided by the Charleston Fire Marshal Division. This training program has been designed to give those persons designated as crowd managers the information necessary to provide occupant safety wherever people gather. By completing this web-based training, you will have the tools to ensure the safety of everyone attending your place of assembly. This program is self-paced and generally should take no more than 40 minutes to complete. This program was adapted from a similar training program used by the state of Maryland. The Charleston Fire Marshal Division offers special thanks and appreciation to Montgomery County Fire and Rescue for their assistance. Crowd management is extremely important in preventing injury and fatalities from fires at places of assembly. The deadliest fires in U.S. history involved assemblies, particularly indoor venues, where ways to exit the building were not immediately apparent to panicked patrons. This program will help teach prospective crowd managers how to monitor the number of occupants by counting them as they move in and out, how to keep exit paths clear, how to educate employees about keeping crowds orderly and safe during an emergency, and how to identify potential problems and correct fire code violations. The requirement for crowd managers comes from the International Fire Code, which has been formally adopted for fire code enforcement by the City of Charleston and the State of South Carolina. However, the IFC provides little specific information or guidance on training requirements for crowd managers. As a remedy, the IFC allows the fire code official to adopt policies and procedures not provided for by the IFC to ensure the public safety. Accordingly, the National Fire Protection Association's Uniformed Fire Code, or NFPA-1, is recognized code which provides further details on the role and function of crowd managers. Therefore, this will be used to assist the Fire Marshal Division in defining our expectations for the program. The NFPA defines a crowd manager as the person or persons responsible for maintaining the safety of occupants during a gathering. Crowd managers are also responsible for implementing the business's evacuation plan in the event of an emergency. Assembly occupancies are required to provide a trained crowd manager during all hours of operation. An additional trained crowd manager is required when capacities reach 250 persons or more, and another trained person is required for each additional 250 persons after that. Who is the crowd manager at your business? If your establishment has not specifically named an employee as the crowd manager, then the facility manager is labeled the crowd manager by default. Your facility manager might also be referred to as the general manager, executive chef, shift supervisor, or any other term your business may use. You will soon see the importance of having a crowd manager who has been designated in writing, is trained in crowd management, and one who is known by the staff and patrons in the event of a fire emergency. According to the NFPA-1, the capacity, also known as the occupant load, is a scientifically based calculation which identifies the number of people who can safely be admitted into your place of business, known as an assembly occupancy. As a crowd manager, you must be aware of the occupant load of your establishment at all times and see that it is never exceeded for any reason. Contact the Charleston Fire Marshal Division immediately if your establishment does not have a certificate of occupancy identifying your maximum occupancy load. By the end of this program, you should be able to explain the relationship between the fire code and occupant safety, define the term area of public assembly, and be able to describe the role of a crowd manager and the steps to take in preparation for holding an assembly event. Sadly, most fire codes are born from the lessons learned from tragic fire events. The following events actually occurred and are used as tools in an effort to prevent the loss of life from fire. The Iroquois Theater in Chicago was the scene of a terrible calamity on the afternoon of Wednesday, December 30th, 1903. A matinee performance of Mr. Bluebeard was in progress. The theater was crowded with more than 1,900 patrons, mostly women and children. In the latter part of the second act, some of the scenery caught fire from an unprotected light. Flames spread rapidly and were forced out into the audience room by a strong draft from the back part of the building. An attempt was made to lower an asbestos curtain, but it failed to descend. A frightful panic ensued, and in their efforts to escape, hundreds were trampled upon and crushed to death, while others were suffocated by smoke and heat. Several of the exits were blocked, while others had latching devices that patrons did not know how to operate. These so-called security devices added to the loss of life. Many of the victims were found piled on top of one another. By the time the fire was over, 575 people, mostly women and children, had lost their lives. On May 28, 1977, the Beverly Hills Supper Club in Southgate, Kentucky was the scene of another disastrous fire. During one of the opening acts, a comedian was regaling the audience with funny stories while a busboy walked onto the stage and over to the microphone. "There is a fire in the building," he announced in a calm voice. Then he pointed out the exits around the perimeter of the room. The audience was asked to quietly leave their seats and make their way to safety. There was a problem, however. The audience mistook this message as part of the comedian's routine and simply laughed it off. About a minute later, thick black smoke began to pour through the air conditioning vents. Seconds after that, the lights went out, plunging the room into darkness. When the fire was finally extinguished, 165 people lay dead. Failure to act promptly to the warning doomed those patrons who were there only to enjoy themselves. It's important to note that an establishment need not be particularly large to pose a serious fire safety risk. The Station nightclub in Rhode Island was small, only about 40 by 70 feet, with 4 exits when tragedy struck. On February 20th, 2003, the band Great White was performing in front of a packed audience in West Warwick, Rhode Island. Small fireworks were set off as part of the show. Combustible acoustical foam had been placed all around the stage in an effort to reduce the noise in the neighborhood. The pyrotechnics ignited the foam walls and ceiling, quickly turning the nightclub into a raging and smoking inferno. Employees failed to guide people to the 4 exits in an orderly fashion, and the intensity of the flames and smoke caused the crowd to panic and surge forward. Most of the 400 patrons in the audience stampeded to the main exit where they had entered. With everyone pushing to get out, some individuals fell, causing others to fall, and in less than 90 seconds, the front door was hopelessly blocked. On the night of the fire, a CNN news crew was inside the club videotaping a story on club safety. They were fortunate to escape with their lives. Another individual in the crowd recorded the disaster. The video in the next slide may be disturbing to view. It's not presented to be gruesome, but rather to show you how quickly and dramatically a fire can overwhelm a room and everyone in it. The fire at the Station nightclub resulted in the deaths of 100 people, most within the first few minutes.
Get this bus out of here so we get the fire department in here. Get this bus out of here. Let's go on, fireman. Anybody inside?
Over the span of 100 years, from the Iroquois Theater fire of 1903 to the Station nightclub fire of 2003, the lessons have been the same. An uncontrolled fire, no information either by signage or notification as to the location of additional fire exits, and obstructions affecting the exit paths of escape are a deadly combination. Additionally, the majority of those who perished in these disasters did not have the knowledge they needed to save their own lives. If they knew of the danger, if they knew the location of all the exits, if they knew not to panic, and if they knew the places were too crowded, they could have acted to prevent the tragic loss of their own lives. Now it's your job. What's your plan to get everyone's attention? Can you turn the lights on? Can you turn the music off? How quickly can this happen? Remember, it only takes a few seconds for fire to spread. Is there a position in your establishment where you can see the entire room? Who is designated to take this action? Those activities and others belong to the crowd manager. So what exactly is a crowd manager and what should they do? As previously mentioned, crowd managers are responsible for ensuring the building is safe to occupy through the maintenance of all life safety features incorporated into the design of the building and the operation of the facility in a safe and prudent manner. A crowd manager is also responsible for maintaining and ensuring the safety of occupants within a facility by adhering to established evacuation plans for your area of public assembly. Let's define an area of public assembly. It's any location where 50 or more people gather. The gathering can be for many purposes. Areas of public assembly can occur in all types of buildings. Restaurants, bars, nightclubs, office buildings, hotels, and even schools have areas of public assembly. Let's review the numerical requirement for crowd managers. To ensure the safety of your staff and patrons, one trained crowd manager or crowd manager supervisor is required for each 250 people in your establishment. This includes staff, performers, contractors, patrons, in other words, anyone in your facility at any given time. If the occupant load is greater than 250 persons, additional crowd managers are needed at a ratio of one crowd manager for each additional 250 people. Crowd managers need to know many things to conform to the fire code before you ever open the door. The acronym ESCAPE serves as an easy reminder for conducting your pre-event inspection and safety walkthrough. Let's look at each of these requirements. The first E is for exits. All places of public assembly are required to have the correct number of marked and easy-to-find exits. The Fire Marshal Division inspectors will verify this requirement with you. Illuminated exit signs must be in place over all required exit doors. Directional exit signs may also be required when the door is out of sight, such as down the end of a corridor. As the crowd manager, you are responsible for ensuring all the exits in your establishment are clearly marked and illuminated. Are all of your exits accessible? The crowd manager must make sure exit doors are clear of all obstructions both inside and out, and the path remains clear. Also ensure exit doors are unlocked and operational. Your business may be in a large building. If it is, follow the exit path through the common areas of your building. Make sure that access is unobstructed all the way to the outside. There may be construction blocking the exit as demonstrated in this picture. An alternate path may be required. If this is the case, contact the fire marshal for direction. Are you sure your exits are unobstructed? Corridors leading to exits must always be completely clear. Crowd managers must ensure that boxes, tables, and any other stock has never been placed in such a way as to impede the path. Often, remote exit doors, similar to the ones shown here, are provided with security alarms that activate when the door is opened. Many people believe this door is unnecessary. While it may not be used during the normal course of business, this door could serve as a vital escape during a fire emergency. Don't forget to open the door to see that the door hardware is operating and that the door opens freely. If patrons attending the performance at the Station nightclub in Rhode Island had knowledge of remote exits, many more lives could have been saved. Places of public assembly must also have panic exit hardware, also known as push bars, on all exit doors if the occupant load for the business is 300 or more. Panic hardware is required on all secondary exits for existing facilities with a capacity of 100 or more, and for all new facilities with a capacity of just 50 or more. Once panic exit hardware is installed on your doors, no additional locking mechanisms or devices may be added. The panic exit hardware is your latch and your lock. During your pre-event safety walkthrough, physically open and close every exit door. Do they open easily? Does the panic exit hardware function properly and open without sticking? Does the door open all the way? Are the exits and walkways clear of obstructions or tripping hazards, all the way from the building to the public walkway? S is for storage. Is there any stock or storage blocking access or impeding egress around your exit doors? Check all storage, offices, and break rooms for excess accumulation. Ensure sprinkler heads are unobstructed. Care should be taken when deliveries occur to ensure that received goods are not placed in an area that can inhibit safe exit during a fire emergency. C is for capacity. A certificate of occupancy sign declaring the maximum number of people allowed to safely occupy your place of business must be conspicuously posted. Is your certificate properly displayed? All employees who meet or greet patrons should be aware of the load limitation, or the maximum number of staff and patrons allowed. Your maximum capacity may be different from the number listed here. As a crowd manager, you are responsible for ensuring the occupant load is never exceeded at any time or for any reason. You can prevent overcrowding by keeping an accurate count of the number of patrons coming in and counting the number of people as they leave. A is for aisles. As crowd manager, ensure aisle width measures a minimum of 36 inches. Corridors must be at least 44 inches wide to allow easy access to the exits. P is for protection. When provided, check to ensure the fire alarms and fire sprinklers are fully operable and have received routine inspection. Is the fire alarm panel on and free of any trouble or any supervisory alarms on the system? If not, call a licensed technician for immediate service. Perhaps your fire alarm is similar to the one shown here. Some fire alarms are more basic, but most have a power indicator light, shown here by the green light, and a message indicating the system is fully operational. Do you know where all of the fire alarm pull stations are located in your establishment? Manual fire alarms are typically located at exit doors. This allows people who may see a fire to activate the building fire alarm as they exit the building. Does your place of assembly have a fire sprinkler system? If so, do you know where the sprinkler controls are located? Is the sprinkler system in good order? Are the valves open? Is there pressure in the system? While the gauge in this picture indicates there is pressure on the sprinkler system, it's also clear that urgent maintenance is needed. The last D is for emergency lighting. Emergency exit lighting and lighted exit signs must be functional and provided with emergency or backup power. And other emergency lighting is needed to assist if the building loses power. Have you tested your emergency lighting to ensure they operate? Emergency lights, such as those shown here, have a button to test the batteries. You may have fluorescent battery packs that can easily be tested by hitting the night light circuit in your circuit breaker panel box. All emergency lighting, no matter the type, are required to be tested at least once every 30 days. Now let's talk about the outside of your building. Are the exits and walkways clear of obstructions or tripping hazards? Is there adequate illumination where all the exits discharge? Is there proper clearance in the streets and parking area for emergency apparatus? If not, take action. Are you absolutely sure all exits and walkways are clear of obstructions? Doors and paths must be checked every day or every time your establishment is open for business or hosting an event. The exit that is most critical during a fire emergency is often the one that somebody forgot to check. Now that you're ready to open, you must remain vigilant. For performance venues, such as concerts, movies, and other events, walk the rooms and confirm that the exit paths remain clear. Educate your employees as to the importance of maintaining clear exits. Make this a part of your corporate culture and look for situations that could lead to challenges in the event of an emergency situation. Prevent overcrowding by monitoring the number of people in your area of assembly. As crowd manager, make sure someone has a meter to measure your occupant load. Count them in and count them out, and never exceed your maximum capacity. As crowd manager, you must be fully aware of your occupant load at all times. Occupant load includes all patrons, staff, band members, and support staff. In other words, everyone in your building, don't forget. If you have inadvertently exceeded your maximum capacity, you must take immediate steps to reduce your occupant load. First, stop entry of new patrons. Gather those nearest the door and ask them to step back outside. If your capacity is still in excess, stop alcohol service and call the fire or police departments for immediate assistance in managing your crowd. If your occupant load is still in excess, you must close the facility. You are not only in violation of fire code, but your staff and patrons are at serious risk of injury or death in the event of a fire or other emergency. Start by moving those nearest the door outside, then work inward. Once the exits are clear, shut down the music or entertainment. Make an announcement that people will need to leave the premises. Clarify that this is not an emergency and encourage patrons to calmly exit the building. In the event of an emergency, the crowd manager is responsible for making an announcement, providing the location of all exits so occupants are aware of where they may safely exit your building. If you've ever been to the movies, you've no doubt seen the trailer encouraging you to look for the location of all exits, and in the event of a fire, please walk, do not run to the nearest exit. Also be sure to establish communication between exit points. An exit may be overused or underused, and you can better direct the flow of egress traffic. Also, an exit may become hazardous and patrons will need to be rerouted for safe exit. Remember, you as the crowd manager have the responsibility to provide a safe environment for the occupants and immediately correct all fire code violations. You are in a unique position and have an opportunity every day to make your place of business safe. Your actions will definitely make a difference. And it's not just fires for the crowd manager's concern. February 2003, a security guard at the E2 nightclub in Chicago used pepper spray to break up a fight. The ensuing panic created a crowd crush at the main entrance. A medical examiner's report listed the cause of death for many of the victims as asphyxia. They were squeezed so tightly that their lungs could not inflate to inhale life-saving oxygen. As you've learned from the tragedies at the Iroquois Theater, the Beverly Hills Supper Club, the Station nightclub, and the E2 nightclub, panic kills. You are responsible for maintaining order if a fire emergency were to occur in your establishment. Your knowledge and training should provide the tools to execute a safe evacuation from your premises. Now for some good news. Proper crowd management does work. A few days prior to the Station nightclub fire, a fire broke out at a club in Minneapolis. The fire was started by the band setting off pyrotechnics. Automatic fire sprinklers controlled the fire, and an immediate and orderly evacuation of 120 patrons was conducted. The result? No deaths, no injuries. In the city of Charleston, your business must also develop written emergency plans, including a crowd management plan. Other emergency action plans for restaurants, bars, and nightclubs include a fire safety plan, an emergency evacuation plan, a plan for employee fire safety training and response, and an emergency evacuation drill plan. Preparing emergency action plans could be a daunting task. The Charleston Fire Marshal Division has created templates for each plan that your business may use as a starting point. Please have your management team refer to the Charleston Fire Department website or call the Fire Marshal's office for assistance. For example, in the fire safety plan, you'll need to include specific procedures for reporting a fire, identify your business's life safety strategy, include detailed site plans or floor plans, identify major fire hazards and staff responsibilities, and ensure all hazardous materials are properly labeled, inventoried, and stored. In your emergency evacuation plan, you'll need to detail emergency egress routes, how you will account for patrons and employees in the event of an emergency, and who will be responsible for notifying the fire department and staff and patrons of an emergency. Your crowd management plan should identify what must be done before the establishment opens, and your procedures for crowd management while you are open and during special events to ensure the safety of all employees and patrons. The Charleston Fire Marshal Division has also developed an online, self-paced, portable fire extinguisher training program similar to this one for use in training your employees on how to use portable fire extinguishers. This training may be found on the Charleston Fire Department website or by calling the Fire Marshal's office for assistance. Fire safety training for your employees is a great way to provide the necessary information for their actions and procedures in the event of a fire or other emergency. This training could be done during new employee orientation and at regularly scheduled times throughout the year. Be sure to keep a record of employee attendance and topics covered for review by Fire Marshal inspectors. Portable fire extinguisher training covers what to do in the event of a fire emergency. First, sound the fire alarm and call 911 immediately. If you choose to fight a small fire, be sure to select a safe evacuation path before approaching the fire. Do not allow the heat, smoke, or fire to come between you and your evacuation path. Portable fire extinguishers are fairly easy to use and prudent when the fire is limited to the original material ignited, it's still contained, such as in a wastebasket, and has not spread to any other materials. Also, flames should never be higher than the employee's head. Discharge the portable fire extinguisher with an appropriate range using the pass technique. Pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Then back away from an extinguished fire in case it flames up. Evacuate immediately if the fire extinguisher is empty and the fire is not yet out. Evacuate immediately if the fire progresses. And while in the process of evacuating, double-check to ensure others are aware of the fire taking place and the best egress route to safety. The pass method is fairly easy to remember. Pull the pin that keeps the extinguisher from accidentally discharging. Aim the hose or nozzle at the base of the fire so the agent is discharged onto the burning material. Squeeze the operating lever, which is positioned as part of the handle, and sweep the nose or nozzle back and forth at the base of the fire so that it is spread over all of the fuel. Continue to discharge the agent until the extinguisher is empty and the fire is out. You and your employees should never attempt to fight a small fire if you don't have adequate or appropriate equipment. You must have the correct type and size of portable fire extinguisher, otherwise it's best not trying to fight the fire. Never fight a fire if you might inhale toxic smoke. When synthetic materials such as nylon in carpeting or foam padding in a sofa burn, they can produce hydrogen cyanide, acrolein, and ammonia in addition to carbon monoxide. These gases can be fatal in very small doses. Never fight a fire if your instincts tell you not to. If you or your employees are uncomfortable with the situation for any reason, get out of the building, close the door, and let the fire department do their job. Your business must conduct emergency evacuation drills at least quarterly. You are encouraged to have these drills at varying times and under different conditions to identify any challenges which may result if an emergency evacuation was required, before, during, or after normal business hours. The Charleston Fire Department template also provides suggestions for keeping track of your drills and employee attendance. Let's review what you've learned today. As a crowd manager or crowd manager supervisor at your establishment, you should now be able to explain the relationship between the fire code and occupant safety, define an area of public assembly, identify the role of a crowd manager, describe the steps that a crowd manager takes in preparation for holding an assembly event, identify measures to reduce or eliminate overcrowding, and explain and demonstrate the acronym PASS as it pertains to portable fire extinguishers. Above all, remember you are not a professional firefighter. Never take any unnecessary risks that could endanger your life or the lives of others. When in doubt, call 911. Get out, close the doors, and stay out. Never re-enter a burning building. Let's test your knowledge with 5 questions. Question 1. To be considered an area of public assembly, how many people must be gathered? Is it 25 or more, 100 or more, 50 or more, or 75 or more? The correct answer is C, 50 or more. The NFPA defines areas of public assembly as those places where 50 or more people gather for any occasion. Question 2, true or false? A crowd manager is the person who is assigned the responsibility of maintaining the safety of occupants during a gathering. The correct answer is true. Question number 3, let's check your math. How many crowd managers or crowd manager supervisors are required if your establishment has a maximum capacity of 310 and you have a full house for the evening or your special event? Do you need 1, 2, or 3 or more crowd managers? The correct answer is B. You will need a minimum of 2 crowd managers if your occupancy is greater than 250 and less than 500. Remember, the ratio for crowd managers to patrons and staff is 1 for every 250. Question 4. Prior to an event, what steps must the crowd manager take to ensure the facility is safe for occupancy? Exits are marked, exit doors are clear of obstructions, exit paths are clear inside and out, exit doors swing freely and in an outward direction, or letter E, all of the above. The correct answer is E, all of the above. Remember to use the acronym ESCAPE as part of your pre-event checklist and planning. E is for exits, S is for storage, C is for capacity, A is for aisles, P is for protection, and the final E is for emergency lighting. Question 5. During an event, the crowd manager must do which of the following? Walk the rooms and confirm that exit paths are clear, point out the location of exits and advise the audience what to do in case of a fire emergency, maintain an occupancy count not to exceed the posted capacity, or D, all of the above. The correct answer is D, all of the above. Keeping the premises and your staff and patrons safe during the event is an important responsibility. In the event of an emergency, your preparation, training, and execution of calm directions and instructions will greatly increase the chance of survival and reduction of injuries for everyone at your establishment or event. Never take this responsibility lightly. Thank you for completing the Charleston Fire Department's Crowd Manager training. You have the opportunity every day to make your workplace safer for you, your staff, and your business patrons. Please share the important information you have learned with your management team and employees. Most importantly, begin implementation of these valuable concepts immediately for the safety of your patrons and our citizens and visitors. Remember, the life you save may be your own. For additional information, please contact the Charleston Fire Department Fire Marshal Division at phone number 843-720-1981 or visit our website. The Charleston Fire Department is dedicated to preserving our historic communities by preventing catastrophic fires. We thank you for your contribution to preservation through prevention.